Hello, in this video we go over an example where where we find the product of two matrices, and if there's one and two problems here in this example, and we first of all what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the dimensions. This is a product of two matrices, and these are 2 by 2, both 2 by 2 matrices. So when I say 2 by 2, what that means is that I have two rows. That's this two. And then there's two columns, and so that's that two. So it's always rows, then columns. And over here, similarly, two rows and two columns. And what we're going to see is that these two that are next to each other, the columns of the first has to match the rows of the second. Now, let's see if I can explain this. So what I do is I'm going to start off with the first row on the left. And what I do is I do a dot product of the first column on the right. You wouldn't have to start it that way, but that's how I'm going to start, which is, I think it's pretty standard to start that way. You start on the top up here. And what we do is we do a dot product. Well, what does that mean? So we see that we have two vectors here, and we look at the first term of the row and the first term of the column, and we multiply. So we have 1 times -1. Then I add the second term of that row and the second term of the column, the product of those terms, and that's going to then give 2 times 2. And okay, so I would say that much of the time I would think that people do a lot of this in their head, and in my experience it works out better if I do it in my head. The more I write down, sometimes it sort of I end up concentrating, thinking about the writing or something. I don't know why I don't do as well sometimes when I write down as much. Okay, let's go on to now, staying with this first row, I'm going to look at the second column. First row, but second column. Okay, I do the same thing, a dot product. I would take the first entry and multiply the first entry. And so that gives 1 times 0 plus second entry, and that's 2 times 3. And that gives 1 times 0, which is 0, plus 6, and that gives 6. I sort of feel like there maybe would be a way to put commas, but I'll just put a space between this. We don't do commas inside matrices, maybe with row vectors, but in general matrices, you don't usually do that. All right, now, so what I've done though is, notice what I have. The first row dotting the first column gave the first entry of 3. The first row of the second column gives the entry 6, which is in the first row in the second column. First row, second column gives first row, second column of the product. First row, first column gives first row, first column. All right, so now let's go on to a different color and look at the second row. So we take this in, and what we're going to do is we're trying to find this entry over here. We're looking at the second row, first column. So I take the second row and dot the first column. Second row of the left matrix dot the first column. Okay, second row, first matrix, dot first row, second matrix. All right, so I'm going to get 3 times -1. Okay, what's that? 3 times -1 plus 4 times 2. Maybe my colors would be better if I picked a different one for this. What other colors are there? Orange? Okay. So, all right. 3 times -1 plus 4 times 2. That's the first row, or second row, first column. And that gives this guy over here. And so that'll be -3 plus 8, which is 5. And then I'll do the second row, second column, and that'll give me the entry in the second row, second column. So I have then 3 times 0 plus 4 times 3. So that gives 0 plus 12, and that gives 12. And what I see also, for this to work, we have to have the number of columns of the first matrix equaling the number of rows in the second matrix. And then, moreover, these two outside become the dimensions of the product. Okay, it's more of the same, actually, so you just turn off the video now, but I'll do one more. It's going to be the same stuff, all right? But if you do leave, thanks for coming. But anyway, I'm going to go on some more stuff here, all right? So I have 2 rows. This time I have 3 columns. Let's stick with the same color scheme, maybe. All righty, and I need to have another color here. What's another choice? Maybe bright yellow? Are those different enough? Okay, so what do I have here? All right. Well, maybe I'm anticipating that maybe I need more space here. All right. So I take the first row and dot the first column. That means 1 times 1 plus -3 times 2. So let's just go ahead and simplify that. 1 plus -6 and that will give us -5. So look what happened. The first row dotting first column gives an entry in the first row, first column. Did I say that right? First row, first column gives first row, first column entry. So now we'll move on to first row, second column, dot those. What do I mean by that? 1 times 0, -3 times 0. Oh, well, that's sort of, I think that maybe I could do it in my head then, because there's a lot of zeros. So that's going to give 0 plus 0 and give 0 over here. All right, I'm looking like I'm going to run out of space, but anyway, how am I going to deal with that? I'm going to just move things. Okay, it's not that bad, it seems. All right, now I take the first row, third column. That means dot 1, the first 2 entries, and then dot add, and 1 times 1 plus -3 times -1. So 1 times 1 plus -3 times -1. And that gives, more space required, that gives 1 plus 3, and that gives 4. All right, so first row, third column, I get that entry in the first row, third column. Continue. Second row, first column, I dot those. So what does that mean to dot? 2 times 1, 1 plus 1 times 2. So that makes 2 plus 2, and that makes 4. It looks like this is a terribly slow, tedious process, but you just do most of this in your head. 2, 1, dot 0, 0. So that's 2 times 0 plus 1 times 0. So that gives 0 plus 0, and that gives 0. So again, notice second entry, second column, second row, second column gives the entry that's in the second row, second column. Now I'm going to go to second row, third column, that'll go the entry in the second row, third column here. And so that'll be, okay, so I take 2 times 1 plus 1 times -1. That gives 2 plus -1, and there's 1. And done. But I think that once you get the hang of it, you can do it very quickly. Let me also, again, point out that this first matrix is a 2 by 2. The second matrix is 2 rows. 2 rows. So therefore 2 by 3 columns. 2 by 3. The 2 and the 2 have to match for this to have ever worked. And then the product is going to be a 2 by 3, which we see over here. Those are the 2 outside numbers there, 2 by 3. Okay, so that's that. All right, thanks. Take care.